Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
BetUS.com. If you guys are betting on the games, whether it's NFL, NCAA, of course, you're not going to do that now. Maybe basketball, not football, but of course, the NHL, NBA, go to BetUS.com. You get a 125% sign-up bonus. And also, if you use this code right here, the promo code of TSW22, which, by the way, stands for the Sports Web, TSW22, or call that number 1-800-69-BET-US. Again, 1-800-69-BET-US, and put in that promo code TSW22, and I would really appreciate that.
I've had 27 beers spilt on me. Make that 28.
I've only got one place to go before the game.
BetUS.com.
Sign up at BetUS.com and get the best bonuses in the industry.
Say Texas.
Merry Christmas. Say, I love football. Say this. Say Tampa. Bay. Bay. Tampa. Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Say Tampa. Bay. Bay. Oh my God, she's so smart and she's so precious. I love her to death.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television here live on I Love St. Pete and the Hub. We call it the Sports Hub. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off this show on this happy hump day edition of the Sports Web? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have Denis Phillips of ABC Action News, meteorologist. But on this show, he's talking sports. We'll talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course, still getting through the Tom Brady retirement, still taking those questions tonight from you guys when it comes to the fans, because I want to hear from you your favorite memory of him being a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. What do you think the Bucs are going to do? We're going to continue to do this throughout the weeks if you want to, and continue to get your thoughts and see what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to do in the future here, because the next couple months are going to get very, very interesting. And then at 9:30, we'll have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions. So great stuff here. I want to tell you about it. If you're gambling on the NFL, of course, the Super Bowl coming up, Super Bowl 56, or NBA or NHL, go to betus.com. In fact, this promo code right here, TSW22, which of course stands for the Sports Web. So if you go there, put that promo code in, you get 125% sign up bonus. So if you want to gamble, go to that site. And of course, TSW22. And I would really appreciate that. With everything else, let's go out to the comments here because we got a lot of comments. Let's go out to Miss Queen Anita right there. Let's get it. We will get it. Let me fire those cannons for you. Thank you for tuning in. As always, let's go out to Michael. Hey, Peter, need to know what you thought we're going to do at quarterback. Either keep Kyle Trask, let him develop. Do you think he's learned enough under Tom Brady in order to handle taking over the offense this season, or do you think we will get a quarterback for free agency? Who do you think, if we do go there, who could we get? Great questions, as always, Michael, so I appreciate that. I mean, look at the comments from Jason Light. We kind of got an opportunity to talk about Jason Light and what he said yesterday. He's going to explore every avenue. But you also have to be a realist here. Can you get a Russell Wilson? I'm not sure. Because it's going to cost you a lot of money. And on top of it, you're going to have to give up a lot of draft capital. And that means multiple first-round picks. As I asked a lot of Bucs fans last night, were you willing to do that? Aaron Rodgers has been talked about. A Derek Carr, which I think maybe the coach kind of ruled that out, if you will, with some of his comments today. We'll get to those a little bit later. Kyle Trask is interesting. And this is what Jason Light had to say yesterday. No one wants to be in position where they don't have a quarterback. He likes Kyle Trask and compares him to the top quarterbacks in this year's draft. That's how they feel about him. They like Trask better this year than they like this year's quarterback class, right? I mean, what is he supposed to say? But that's how they evaluate it. He also goes on to say, on accelerating the growth of Kyle Trask, I don't necessarily think that we need to speed up the process with Kyle because I think we have him on a good track right now. He's been well coached and he has unbelievable resources to get to where he is right now. We'll see where that goes. We don't want to rush anybody, but I couldn't think of a better experience for a young quarterback to spend his rookie year than with the greatest player of all time. Right? I mean, I'll give him the Byron Leftwich.
How about them Bucs, baby?
Because that's the reason why you drafted Kyle Trask in the first place in the second round, so he can sit and possibly get mentored by the greatest of all time in a Tom Brady, so he can learn from a quarterback whisperer in a Bruce Arians, who, by the way, has worked with quarterbacks like Peyton Manning, like Ben Roethlisberger, like Andrew Luck. It's not his first rodeo. You have Clyde Christensen. You have Tom Moore. He also goes on to say this, which is interesting in itself, because he still leaves the door open, if you will. We're not crowning Kyle as the heir apparent. Yet, we feel very fortunate that we got him when we did last year, because when he stacks up with the quarterbacks in this year's draft, everybody is going to have their own opinion. But I feel pretty good where he stacks up with the quarterbacks, and I feel like we made a good decision last year. Don't know. There's some thoughts there. There's a lot to unpack, if you will. So we shall see. We'll read these comments in a moment, but I tell you what, let's go out and get this guy on. It'll probably wake up the studio, but here's his intro. Here we go. All right, Mr. Denis Phillips of ABC News, meteorologist. Is everybody woken up there in the studio? Welcome to the episode of Sports Talk Television here, the Sports Web. And your thoughts, Denis, on the Tom Brady situation. How surprised were you that he basically retired after that report on Saturday from Adam Schefter and Jeff Darlington. And then he comes out on his podcast on Monday and says he really not come to a decision, but he really did. Your thoughts? Welcome to the Evolution.
Hey, Peter, how you doing?
Doing great, buddy. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, I've got earbuds in today, so nobody can hear the fires and the tornado siren because there were a couple of people who were under their desks last week. So, like, what the heck is that? I'm like, I don't know. I thought he was going to play another year. I mean, we talked about this last week. I think that what I was surprised about it, and he was actually a man of his word, because remember we talked about this last week where, a lot of folks expected maybe Tom Brady to want to have the going away tour like Ben Roethlisberger did. And the last half of the year, every broadcast that was on, it was talking about, is this going to be Ben's last play, 3rd and 7? Or, every single possible scenario they were talking about Roethlisberger. And I find it fascinating that the guy was so beloved as it is, but that's another story. So at the end of the day, for me, I figured Tom Brady might want the same kind of thing. And if you remember on his podcast last week, he said, nope, that's not my thing. I get all my satisfaction from the team and from the winning and whatnot, and I don't need the going away tour. And I thought that was lip service. I didn't think he was probably meant it. He did, clearly, because he left. And I don't know about you, but if I were Adam Schefter, I would have been like just all over social media bashing people on Tuesday, because that guy was crucified unmercifully over and over again on Sunday, on Monday. Everybody, he's not going to retire until he gets his $15 million. Oh, he's not going to retire because of this and that. They were all wrong. Mm-hmm. And he was right. So because clearly what happened now, the question a lot of people are bringing up is, should he have presented that story? Should he have gone out and said it? Now that's another story entirely, because there's a lot of people say, look, why don't you give Tom Brady the chance to do it himself on his terms and to not leak the story? Well, Brady addressed that in his podcast as well, saying, look, that's the way it is this day and age. A lot of people, it's their job to get out in front of it. And it's Adam Schefter. That's what he does. Adam Schefter is a guy who, whether it's releasing guys who are going to be inactive for people's fantasy teams or, the day before or whatever, that is what he does. And clearly somebody in Brady's camp told him that he was going to retire soon, and Schefter went with it. And if it wasn't him, and like you said, Darlington too, if it wasn't him, it was somebody else. Because I don't know of anybody out there, any sports person out there, who, if they were told that Tom Brady's going to retire, you just sit on it. First of all, I'm sure they didn't say, hey, sit on this. Because if they did, he probably would have. Sure. But somebody told him in his circle that he's going to retire. But you know what? That's his job to put it out there. And I did not see one "I told you so" from him. I did not see one, hey, you know what? I got to give him credit for it. He nailed it. And all the people who bashed him and all the morons who said the $15 million thing was going to have to come into play, clearly they were wrong and he was right. If I were him, I would be loving that. But, he's a better man than I am, obviously.
Absolutely. And we're on with Denis Phillips of ABC Action News. What do you think the reason for Brady's retirement? Does it come down to family? Does it come down to seeing the writing on the wall with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because there's been some fans out there and some national pundits that have kind of tried to stir this up and saying, you know what, Brady got tired of BA, he got tired of this roster. This roster isn't filled up. The cap is up there. So maybe that window was closing and possibly Brady didn't want to be a part of it. Or do you think this is more of a family aspect where he's been away from his family the majority of his life playing NFL quarterback for the Patriots and the Bucs?
Who knows? I know that's a legitimate question a lot of people have, but, for me, I could care less. The guy made his decision and you move on and you respect what he did. And whether, he commented in that podcast last week, it killed his wife every time he took a beating. And, so a lot of people say, well, look, maybe that's it. Maybe it is. Maybe he wants to spend more time with his family. Maybe he knows he's made enough money to last a lifetime. All of the above. Who knows? But at the end of the day, that's never one thing that I've really cared about either way. He said he's retiring. You take him for his word for it. and you move on into to the next thing. And I know there are a lot of people who said, well, he never used the word retire. All right, maybe he didn't. A lot of people saying, oh, maybe he'll come back for one game as a Patriot and then officially retire as a Patriot,
right.
Or who knows? And in my mind, Peter, I just don't care. It has nothing to do with the game. It has nothing to do with what we're going to do moving forward. I just don't care.
What do you make of what the Bucs are going to do going forward? Do you feel like they're going to go after a veteran quarterback? Much has been made, possibly in Aaron Rodgers. I think that's kind of a pipe dream. Not only are you going to have to give up premium picks, but you're going to have to pay that salary. And you look at that salary cap right now, $15 to $16 million under. You still have 25 unsigned free agents, so you have a lot of decisions to make. Could you see a Jimmy Garoppolo coming out of Vegas? He's the favorite. Teddy Bridgewater, Jameis Winston, or do they go with...
Wouldn't that be funny if Jameis came back?
Well, Gary the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Sports, made this point. Look, Winston is coming off a year where he had 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He learned how not to turn over the ball. And even though he was in this offense, he knows this offense. You don't necessarily have to teach a new quarterback, because we know how difficult it is to learn this system. So does it make sense to bring back a Jameis Winston? Who,
no,
in your opinion, who do you think? I'll tell you what, I'll make you the general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. You're Jason Light. What are you doing to make this team better, especially at the quarterback position? Go.
See, I mean, it depends on what you have to give up, and you just can't answer that because we don't know what the other teams would want. I mean, there's a lot of names out there. I'm sitting here trying to find it because I posted it a little while ago. There's Vegas lines that, by the way, Harry is not on a radio station anymore or whatever it is, because Harry's on our station more than I am. I was watching. Jameson loves Harry, and I was sitting here on the news yesterday, and all of a sudden I hear Jameson say, "Oh, and now we're going to talk to Harry the Greek." I'm like, "What? He's on again?"
Yeah.
So yeah, Harry's.
I'm not even on there. I mean, he forgot about his host, right?
That's because you don't have a name like Harry the Greek.
There you go.
I mean, there's that. You got to come up with some shtick. You got to come up with some angle.
The Rolex reporter, right there.
Yeah.
That's right there.
Now that'll alienate all the people because nobody wants a rich guy. You got to work with perception. So I don't know. Anyway, what was your question? Oh yeah, the quarterback. So I saw the odds. The odds, Vegas odds, or whoever put out the odds, whether it's offshore or what. The leading candidate was Jimmy G at 4-1, and then after that, man, I can't remember who it was. I know Teddy Bridgewater was the third choice. Jameis was way down the list. Fourth choice was Kyle Trask.
Yeah, Kyle Trask. You got Cam Newton on that list.
It wasn't Cam. It was lower. There was somebody who was second. I can't remember who it was. Russell Wilson was Personally, I think Russell Wilson would be pretty awesome, but he was down to 17-1. Who the heck was the second choice? Garoppolo was first. Trask was fourth. Bridgewater was third. I don't think it was Aaron Rodgers. I guess, but I'm with you. I don't see there's any way in the world that happening on so many levels with Green Bay. Why would you get rid of a guy? He's not a free agent, right?
No, Aaron Rodgers is not a free agent. You still got to trade him. And if you're the Green Bay Packers, why would you trade him to a possible division rival in your own conference?
Exactly.
And
you don't do it
with that loaded roster. And then, the salary cap figures don't work unless the Packers are going to pay half of that salary, which I guess is certainly possible. I mean, it's never out of the possibility when it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We didn't think they're going to Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, Rob Gronkowski, but they made those things work. If you're the general manager, would you mortgage the future for a possibility of winning a couple more Super Bowls? Because you feel like if you get a Russell Wilson, you do have some moves you have to make at the running back situation. You don't know if Gronkowski's going to come back defensively. So do you mortgage those premium picks for a guy like a Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, even a Derek Carr from the Raiders?
I like Derek Carr too, by the way.
I do
I'm still sitting here looking for this. It's driving me crazy. I can't find it. Here's the thing. It's just my opinion. The Bucs had a great couple of years, right? If you go back and look at the NFL and how many truly franchise quarterbacks are there. A quarterback that can really be the difference from a team winning the Super Bowl or a team just maybe making it into the playoffs. There's not a lot of them. You know, you've got Josh Allen, you've got Burrows, you've got Aaron Rodgers, you've got Brady. You know, I sit here and wonder, do you really mortgage the future for a team that might be losing some important defensive cogs as well? I mean, if they were able to re-sign everybody like they could last year, that's another story. But I mean, you probably know this better than me. Last that I've been reading, they just don't have those options this year.
No, they really don't, because they kicked a lot of money down the road. And of course, they went all in with signing everybody back. But you have a main decision with possibly Leonard Fournette coming back. He's unrestricted. You have Carlton Davis, who you would think they franchise. You also have Chris Godwin coming off an ACL injury, but relatively young with 98 receptions. So right there, that money. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do with Sue. Most likely you don't bring him back. He's 35, 36 years old. William Golston on the defensive line. You got Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, who's locked up, but JPP is a possibility for a cap casualty. So you have some options there, but you really don't have a lot of money. And look, I think Jason Light and Mike Greenberg have done a great job, but I think it's a lot to ask to put on that type of salary. Now, Desean Watson has come up. We've talked about this ad nauseum with this kid. If it wasn't about the talent on the field, it'd be one thing, but I just don't see him, first and foremost, getting out of there for the Houston Texans for a minimum of 3 first-round picks. And then on top of it, the 22 allegations off the field, people are like, well, they're going to settle, you know, but the NFL, you know, they're not going to look the other way and cough Denis. They're going to suspend him for an amount of time. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. What's wrong with some of the fan base here? I keep on seeing this on Twitter. Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Watson. That's a pipe dream, right?
I don't know if the Bucs find a way to sign him, but those are. Yeah, I'm not going to get myself in trouble here because I don't know, obviously, the ins and outs of that particular case. But those are not criminal charges. Those are civil charges. So in other words, those are people who are trying to get financial rewards as a verdict for what happened to them. And last I saw, there were absolutely, and I may be wrong, but I have not seen any criminal charges against him.
Correct.
So I also sit here and I'd like to think we're under the mindset that you're innocent until proven guilty. So I don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson. I know nothing about it. I know nothing about the victims. I know the alleged victims. I know nothing about any of that stuff, but it's been going on for a long time. And I still have not seen one story about any kind of criminal charges against this guy.
Yeah.
So this is just my opinion, but I'm thinking to myself, well, if that were the case, wouldn't there have been charges presented by now? It's been over a year, right? Maybe more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it's been like 2 or 3 years because we keep on talking about it. And, you know, there's really been nothing that's said besides Watson is going to talk to, you know, the officials after the Super Bowl, and then the NFL will make some type of decision. So tell you what, we're just going to leave that aside because I don't really know all the details of it, but I don't either. That's one of the situations where a lot of Bucs fans want him. I understand it because of the talent, but there's too much baggage there. We're on with Denis.
Well, is there too much baggage if he's exonerated or if, I mean, he does settle? I mean, okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up because I think it's a valid comparison.
Sure.
What about with Ben Roethlisberger?
Sure.
Now, you know, back in the day, I don't remember the specifics of the accusations, but I think most of your viewers know exactly what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
So what happened there? Was it a criminal charge? Was it a civil charge? I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But my point is, you know, even with AB came with baggage, as you said. Now it blew up, you know, which I think a lot of folks thought it would at some point. But I don't know. I think you're right. The very first thing you said, who's going to give up 3 first rounders for Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
Maybe 2. I don't know, because a quarterback, a superstar franchise kind of guy, there aren't a lot of them out there. I mean, what did we just name? 5 or 6? Mahomes, Allen, Rodgers. I would put Watson in that list. Kyler, Lamar if he's healthy. Stafford's getting up there now. I mean, he's obviously doing well, but he's played, 12 seasons?
13.
13, yeah. So, I mean, you've got a handful of guys and a Tom Brady, obviously. And boy, doesn't it show you what a player like that can do to a team and a culture like they did with Tom Brady. So, in my opinion, if he was exonerated of the charges or whatever happened that allowed him to play, I would say, why not take Desean Watson? Do I think the Bucs are going to, do they even have 2 first-rounders that'd be worthwhile for Houston? I don't think so. And I don't know the answer. I mean, ultimately, that was your first question.
Yeah.
I will throw this out here. This is just my opinion.
Sure.
But I don't think Kyle Trask is the answer. I don't think he is.
I don't think he's ready yet. And
I don't know if he'll ever be ready. I told you we talked about this. We talked about this last year, and I follow some scouting reports really, really closely. It's something I'm really interested in. And there's a guy who I respect maybe more than anybody out there. I'm sure you guys have heard of Howard Cosell.
Sure.
Well, Greg Cosell is his nephew. And Greg Cosell has worked for NFL Films for decades. And Greg Cosell really, really is about as solid of a scout. Now, granted, scouting is a crapshoot, right? Sure. I don't care if it's baseball or football or whatever. You know, how many people have been told that they're never going to make it and they turn out to be? I mean, Brady, you could probably argue, certainly didn't grade very well early on. But at the end of the day, his analysis of Trask, and I have no idea why folks are saying that, oh, he's a real mobile guy. No, he's not. If you look at his numbers, he's not a mobile quarterback. He's a pocket quarterback with a mid-range arm.
Right.
Okay? So he doesn't have a terrible arm, but he certainly doesn't have a strong arm. So he's a middle-of-the-road arm strength who's not mobile as a pocket quarterback. In this league these days, I mean, granted, training under Brady is probably the greatest thing he could do because that's Tom Brady. But Tom Brady's Tom Brady, and he's once-in-a-generation player. And all the other guys aren't Tom Brady. So, in my opinion, I mean, by the way, Gator quarterbacks, really? I mean, I guess you could argue Wolverine quarterbacks aren't that great either, but.
Right. I mean, USC quarterbacks, I mean, you go down the list. I say, you know, take every prospect at an individual value on with Mr. Denis Phillips, who has lots of value here on the Sports Web Live on I Love St. Pete and, of course, the Hub. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Jimmy Garoppolo. 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 3,800 passing yards. You know that he's getting traded. He was talking about it with John Lynch. He wants to go to a winning situation. On top of it, it's not going to cost the 49ers that much to get rid of him. In fact, they're only going to have about 1.4 cap of dead money. Is that somebody the Bucs you think could trade for, or possibly he's released because they already know he's going to be released by the 49ers, that you would be interested in, that you think would fit BA's system?
Yeah, he is the first choice, and that odds that I told you about. I mean, he was the top choice at 4-1. I don't know if anybody's been watching Jimmy G. He's had some injuries this year. He's had the thumb injury, he's had the shoulder injury. If anybody's been watching him, has he really looked very comfortable the entire season back there?
No.
He didn't to me. He didn't to me. He's injury prone. I mean, maybe if you give him some more time, because he didn't have a lot of time back there. And that's the other thing. The Niners have a great running game. I mean, whether it's Elijah Mitchell, who was awesome, except he was hurt quite a bit. Deebo Samuel turned out to be their running back, their number one running back in some ways. What a dual threat that guy is. That guy's amazing. But, I mean, they had a running attack. And even with that running attack, you couldn't see Jimmy G really coming through. They won against Green Bay because of special teams. It had nothing to do with Garoppolo.
Sure.
And he didn't look good at all against the Rams. But that's not saying much because the Rams are tough. They got a front four that's pretty amazing, and he was on his back most of the game. But the answer to your question is he's probably the best out there. If the Bucs are going to go for a free agent, if they can't land a Russell Wilson, if they can't land a Derek Carr, I remember the number 2 choice now. It just popped into my head. Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz.
You like that choice? Is Carson Wentz? Even a Kirk Cousins has been talked about. What you learned tonight, Dennis, surprising news, according to Adam Schefter. Jim Harbaugh, at the last minute, he was going to be named the Minnesota Vikings coach, has decided to stay with the Michigan Wolverines. So Kirk Cousins, is that somebody that you would be interested in? Once again, it goes back to how much you're going to have to give up. And then on top of it, how much money is it going to cost you? Or Carson Wentz. Do you like a Carson Wentz?
To me, they're all the same guy.
Okay.
I mean, Kirk Cousins or Garofalo, or maybe even Russell Wilson. Although Wilson's better. Wentz is an interesting guy because he does give you some mobility when he doesn't have two bad ankles that are both destroyed like they were last season. But, I mean, think about him his first year in Philly and second year in Philly before he hurt his knee. The guy had like 41 touchdowns and 3 picks. Some amazing number.
Sure.
And he was mobile. And then he's been banged up. They didn't really need him as much with Taylor in Indianapolis this year. I think he's an interesting guy. He's still young, so he certainly has some upside. And I know the people in Indianapolis are like, let's get rid of this guy. He's a bum. He's a gamer. I mean, the guy was out there playing when he had both ankles that were both in really bad shape. So I don't know. I mean, are any of these guys going to be even remotely close to what we had?
No, that's kind of the disappointing thing, and that's what you have to come to the realization with. And I was trying to calm Bucs fans down the other night and say, look, I still think this team is going to be competitive, but to sit here and say, look, you're not going to have any, some regression, if you will, if you lose the greatest player of all time, is naive. We're on with Denis Phillips of ABC Action News. What's the weather looking like? And then we'll talk about Super Bowl 56 here. How's the weather this week?
By the way, you just hit the nail on the head. I want to mention this, this is just my opinion again.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. The Bucs will be competitive, but will they be Super Bowl contenders? And I say no.
Well, to me, look,
no.
if you're going to be a Super Bowl contender, you have to go all in again, and that means giving up the 27th overall first-round pick. That means giving up the next year. And if you can get a Russell Wilson and you're going to pay that, then basically, then you're telling it. If you're the general manager, is that what you would do? Do you feel like this roster could be ready? You trade, the future to get a franchise quarterback that most likely not only will make you competitive for the postseason, but also make you a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Super Bowl contenders out there. I mean, you got Buffalo, you got Kansas City, you got Green Bay, you got the Rams, you got Arizona maybe. So, I mean, competitive is not a bad thing. You still can make the playoffs.
Sure.
And prior to Tom Brady being in this team, making the playoffs was a good thing.
Sure.
Well, the Bucs fans would have loved just to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
But you're 100% right, and I guess it's what we do. We talk about it, but until we know what they're going to do with this roster offensively and defensively, we really don't have any idea. We're just talking. We want to replace Brady, but even if he had come back, if that team loses a lot of their running game, a lot of their defense, a lot of their free agents, if they don't franchise tag Chris Godwin and he's gone, all of a sudden, how good can even Tom Brady make this team? And that's obviously it's a moot point now, but that's an interesting question. So I think it's going to be months before we know. I don't think there's going to be a lot in the draft that's really going to make a dramatic change either way. It's going to have to be free agency, and we'll see what now, I don't know this. You tell me. I heard a lot of rumors, and of course it was on social media, so it's usually wrong. How does that cap hit work with them with Brady retiring?
I mean, he owes them $16 million, but what has been said is that, and the money thing was already there. It's just been deferred. He's already getting that money. So the Bucs have to work something out. And you feel like Tom Brady and the relationship and what he had to say about the Bucs as an organization and Jason Line and BA, they'll be able to work that out. And you know what? He may cut the Bucs a deal where he provides them more money for the cap later on. Who knows? But we know Jason Light and Mike Greenberg and John Spytek, all those gentlemen over there are wizards when it comes to salary cap. I failed math in college, so I'm not about to sit here and tell you I know all the figures. With all that being said, does the math equate out? Did you ever think in a million years that it was going to be the Cincinnati Bengals in Super Bowl 56 with Joe Burrow facing Matt Stafford and the LA Rams?
Oh, I totally predicted it day one. I had no doubt in my mind the Bengals. Really? I mean, the early preseason Vegas numbers, the two teams that were 10,000 to 1 were the Jacksonville Jags and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, and I was talking to my son about that, who lives in Louisiana now. We're now online betting, just legalized about a week ago. And I said, can you imagine just throwing $100 or $1,000 on the Bengals because you're a huge Bengals fan back then and you thought Burrow would come back? Can you imagine if you put that money on them at 10,000 to 1? But yeah, they were both 10,000 to 1 before the season started. And there you go. It's why we play the game, right? We all have our opinions. We all think, oh, this and that. And at the end of the day, we're wrong most of the time, and stuff like this happens. It's pretty awesome. And locally, I'll tell you this story. So there's a guy, a backup tight end on the Bengals, Mitchell Wilcox.
Yep.
He went to Tarpon Springs Fundamental Elementary School, my son's school, my kid's school. He went to USF, all-time leading receiver for tight end at USF, and he's now a backup. And when their number one tight end got hurt, Wilcox was in quite a bit. And my son's claim to fame, in kindergarten, my son Shay beat Mitchell every single event in field day in kindergarten. They're in the same grade. So yeah, he might be in the NFL and might get a ring, but my son beat him in field day every single event in kindergarten. So that's our claim to fame.
That's
is Mitchell Wilcox.
It runs in the Phillips family, of course. Come on, the talent is right there.
It's pretty awesome, though. I mean, to see him out on the field and, number 84 and hopefully he gets targeted a couple of times in the game or at least gets to play. But, you wonder, is this one of those teams that's just a team of destiny? I just looked. The public has been on the Rams. It opened up to 3.5. It's now at 4.5. So the money's definitely going over 4 is a pretty significant number. 3, 4, and 7 are obviously the biggest numbers. And when it goes from 3.5 to 4.5, there's some serious money coming in on the Rams. I'm guessing in the home field advantage. I'm guessing the fact that, the Rams looked pretty good against the Niners, but you know what? The Bengals didn't look too shabby against the Chiefs either, did they?
No, they certainly didn't. I tell you what, we're going to save that Super Bowl talk for next week. Any interest in the Pro Bowl to finish this off at all? Are you going to watch it? You care? No, not at all. All right.
Could care less.
Dennis Phillips of ABC Action News, go ahead and promote yourself here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, please, if they don't know.
Chief Meteorologist, ABC Action News, Monday through Friday, 5, 5:30, 6, and 11. And, I didn't say anything negative about Harry because anytime I mention Harry on this show and I say negative, anything negative, he immediately calls in and has to have a rebuttal. He'll either text me or he'll go on, oh, we have a new guest here. And I, of course, already know who it is. So Harry, I thank you if you're watching, because I know you are. I thank you for all your extracurricular work you've done at ABC Action News. He is apparently our maybe our betting correspondent. I don't know.
He's the professional handicapper extraordinaire.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I mean,
come on.
That means that guy's going to make you some money. That's what that means. Absolutely. I agree. I
don't know. I don't know. Harry, here's to you. Here's to you, Harry.
All right. Good stuff. Dennis Phillips of ABC Action News. Thanks a lot for your time here on The Evolution.
See you, Peter. Have a good one.
All right. See you next week. We'll talk Super Bowl next week. Let's go out to these comments here, and then we will get out to the legend Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions. It's Sports Mag. I'm telling you, that camera looks good there, Leo. You got this going on here. Let me go out to Mr. Roger Shue here. I'm here. Troy is busy on Fat Mike's show trolling. Anita says, oh, he's too cute. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
How about them Bucks, baby?
I'm going to give you the fire the cannons for that. Because she's talking about me. That's all I have to say, all right? Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan legend. Stop following me, Roger, you troll. Michael says, long message here. A lot of fans are nervous that this could go back to like Lovie Smith or Dirk Cutter days. That would be Dirk, not Dirt. I don't think a lot of people understand how much Tom Brady has changed this culture. They might not be winning a Super Bowl after Super Bowl like the Patriots, but they will be playoff bound for years to come. If they really don't think Trask or Gabbard is the answer, then they will find a way to get somebody in free agency like they found a way to get Brady. I agree with you. We'll ask Leo Haggerty about that. Let's keep on reading comments. Why don't you discuss the USFL? because it's not time to discuss the USFL, but we will cover it. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan legend. Welcome to Tampa, Jimmy G. I'll actually give you the woo on that. Woo! Because I tend to agree with you. I think that could be the quarterback that the Bucs are going to get. I may be wrong. Go Bandits. Absolutely. Troy Polamalu. Brady is not a Bucs legend. He is in the last 2 years. Jim says, hello, Peter. Damn it, Jim. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Jim says, do you think they're going to keep their assistant coaches? I do think there's a possibility of keeping their assistant coaches, especially with Byron Leftwich at this point. It looks like Jacksonville is going in a different direction, which is good for the Bucs. You keep that continuity with the Leftwich as offensive coordinator, and of course Todd Bowles at defensive coordinator. Let's go out to Michael. I think I'm willing to give up a couple first-round picks to keep in the winning mode now. It might cost us 5 to 10 years down the road, but I think it would be okay for at least a 5-year period to take that route if possible. I agree with you. Troy Polamalu, AB got kicked out of the game, but Brady just quit on the team. Stop it. That's nonsense. Shut up! Jim says, do you think we're going to keep the assistant coaches? Answer that. Sorry, Michael. You had idiots on ESPN like Stephen A. Smith saying that Bruce Arians should retire, that he looks like he's stressed out, that he can't coach anymore. Don't think that was the case. We would have never won 13 games. Tom Brady would have never came back for another year if he thought that was the case. Good stuff, Michael. No one hired their coaches in the NFL. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Do you think the Bucs will allow Brady to still have some input on the team? I'll tell you what, I don't want to read all these comments right away. There's some good ones. I want to get to our guest here. Let's get out to our guest. Let's get his walk-up music on. Here we go. Former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions. It's Sports Mag. Look at you, big timer. You got the headphones in. I hear you're going to be on Sirius XM Radio tonight. You've already been on Fox Sports Radio. You've been a scout before. You've been a coach before. And now you're on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Welcome, superstar. How you doing?
Hey, I just made it to the Mount Rushmore getting on your show. Hey, throw me out there.
Absolutely, my friend. Always a friend here. Your thoughts on the Tom Brady retirement? Are you surprised? Of course, you've been kind of saying it all year long. You saw some flashes of where he looks like he's a 44-year quarterback. So are you surprised that he retired? Or did you think, like a lot of Bucs fans thought, he was going to come back for an additional year?
Peter, I'm going to go back to when this first went down. Tom Brady decided to come here. I have nothing to go on than my intuition and the presupposition. There's my SAT word early tonight.
You tonight, full of it.
That what has transpired. I think Brady told Jason Light, "I'll give you 2 years."
Mm-hmm.
Figuring the first year would be a feeling out year. The second year they'd make the run. Well, guess what? That first year they're 7-5 and they're feeling out, and they got the late bye. They got rested. They figured out what to do. Their schedule dropped those last 4 games. And then they went on a roll and won 4 in a row. They won 8 straight, winning for the first time in NFL history 3 playoff games on the road, winning the Super Bowl. So all of a sudden it got flip-flopped. And Brady said, you know what? If you get these cast of characters back, I'll give it another run. And that's what they did. But I don't think he planned on going any more than 2 years.
2 years. Okay. So with that being said, do you think the Bucs are prepared for this? Do you think they have a plan B? Is it Kyle Trask? Could it be a Blaine Gabbert? Or do you think it's door number 2, which is what BA has talked about when he was pursuing Brady? Could a Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson? What do you think is going to happen? And what do you want to happen? What would you do if you're Bucs GM of this team going forward?
Peter, before I even look at quarterback, I'm going to see what Chris Godwin and Leonard Fournette, if they want to stick around. Again, those guys are going to break the bank. Mm-hmm. And you can talk about a hometown discount all you want. They got a ring already. So you're not selling that to them. I think the biggest thing they want to know is who you're going after. And if I'm Jason Light and if I'm Bruce Arians, I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and working my way down. Anybody who's in that mix that can come out. I think the 49ers with Garoppolo, that wouldn't be a bad move because now he's got the stigmatism, and again, another SAT word.
Wow, look at you.
That he's the reason they're losing. You know what? If I'm not mistaken, that pass he threw hit that receiver in the hands and popped up. So, just if you want to get blame, fine. Quarterback gets way too much credit, too much blame. Garoppolo with these weapons around them. And again, I think here's the pecking order, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Find a quarterback, see if Gronk's coming back, then start to sign your free agents.
Now, we've heard from Gronk. He said he wouldn't play for another quarterback, but Jason Light kind of leaves the door open. Now, according to one of our mutual friends in the JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show, and of course, FanStream Sports, he has gotten intel on Gronk saying that he's retired. In your opinion, do you feel like Gronk is going to retire, or is there a chance, or saying there's a chance, going back to Dumb and Dumber, that he comes back for one more year, depending on what quarterback is at the helm?
Oh, Peter, you hit the nail on the head. Definitely, depending upon who the quarterback is. He's not going to come back for anybody on the roster. And let's be real here. And again, nothing against these guys, but when you've been in the league as long as he has, he doesn't want to do a rebuild. Mm-hmm. He wants to have somebody who can push this. And I'll tell you what, Peter, let's be honest. Bruce Arians is 70. I don't think he wants a rebuild. I think he wants to get the best guy possible to put under center, and then he tries to sell that to all the guys who can come back or who could become free agents. And again, I tell you what, Chris Godwin, he is going to get mucho bucks because you saw what happened to this team when he got hurt. He was the glue that held it together. Talk all you want about Tom Brady, but they threw that Jet Z screen 3 or 4 times a game like it was a trick play. Why? Because they could throw it to Chris Godwin, and that was key. So, you got to address that. Then you got to figure out on defense. Are you going to try to keep JPP? Are you going to try to keep Ndamukong Suh? Are you going to try to get the secondary a little upgrade? I don't know what to.
Would you keep a JPP? What you saw on film, I mean, he's dealing with an injury. He's 33 years old. You be the general manager for a moment. Is he a guy that you re-sign, or do you look at other options? To me, the most important signing besides a JPP at that point is William Golston. He doesn't get talked about enough, but he's a big-time run stuffer, and he's improved in his pass rush technique. What are your thoughts?
Peter, if I'm Jason Light, I call JPP into my office and say, look, go out, see what you can get on the free agent market.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like it, my door's open, come back, but it will definitely be at a reduced salary. And again, that's the only way they can play this is to go down that road. If you let him go out, let him see if some other team wants him, he'll find out what his value is, come back, and then the Bucs can make a decision. The good news is Joe Tryon and Nelson. They started to step up. And again, they're 6'6" and 6'7". That's a heck of a pair of bookends there.
Yeah, you're exactly right. One with Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member and now superstar, being on Sirius XM Radio tonight here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, live here on I Love St. Pete and the Hub. We call it the Sports Hub. When I'm on, Carlton Davis is a big-time decision, and it's looking like they're going to franchise him. You got a Jordan Whitehead. I mean, you can't sign everybody. What are your priorities at that point? And we haven't even talked about the offensive line. Alex Kappa, you have Ryan Jensen. So some major decisions. You talked about Godwin being the first priority. After that, who's your second? Who's your third?
My second is Ndamukong Suh.
Wow.
Peter, one thing I want to teach you and your listeners and your viewers, you work from the ball out.
Okay.
Ryan Jensen, Ndamukong Suh, the quarterback. Those are your 3 priorities right there. because they're the closest to the ball. Then you deal with the people who touch the ball. Chris Godwin.
Okay.
That's how you go down that road. Again, the good news for the Bucs in the secondary is because they played so many guys, it's almost like the same guy with a different number back there. It's not like there's somebody, okay, we got to sign this guy. And again, they're going to have draft picks. And when you look at that defense, when it was healthy,
which was one game the whole year. And Carlton Davis, to me, is a very important signing because that secondary is different. I think he's as close to a lockdown corner as the Bucs have. They may have to franchise him. How do you feel about it? And you looked at Whitehead's play. He really stepped up. So you got a good problem, but still, you're going to have to pay these guys. Can they pay both?
I'll tell you what, the bean counters down at One Buccaneer Palace, they're going to have some sleepless nights trying to figure out how to jury rig this contract situation.
Right.
There's ways to do it,
mm-hmm.
but you're going to have to ask somebody to renegotiate their contract.
Yeah.
Now, Brady was great because he would do that. And again, when you're not the breadwinner in the family, that's a nice situation where you can just go, honey, I'm going to renegotiate my contract. We just dropped the tax bracket. Oh, great. Thank you, dear. You know, bring home a quart of milk when you're done practice. So, yeah, that's when you're looking at this, it's going to take some magical contract negotiation and some really out-of-the-box thinking to sign as many of these guys as they can.
From a scouting perspective, what do you see with Kyle Trask? I mean, 6'5", 226, pocket passer, pretty successful at Florida, coming into his second year, really didn't get any experience at all, get any time, but he got experience from learning under possibly a Tom Brady, a BA, Tom Moore, Clyde Christensen. Do you feel like if the Bucs don't want to go into that veteran presence or don't want to give up draft capital in the future for a Russell Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers, a Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, somebody like that, can they go with the Kyle Trask and get away with it? In your opinion, is he a franchise quarterback right now? And do you think that he can become a franchise quarterback in the future? Of course, this is a question from David Moser.
Peter, that's the biggest question going. He didn't take a snap under center. So we don't know what happens there. And Peter, look at Green Bay with Jordan Love. I mean, whoa.
Horrible.
Whoa.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous. They're in big trouble if they get rid of Aaron Rodgers, and I think they're going to have to. I'm just not sure if it's going to be to an NFC team. I think it's more likely to an AFC team, most likely the Denver Broncos or the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And you know what, Peter? That the book is out on Trask because we haven't seen enough. It's too small of a sample size. And all it's been is preseason and that. And again, it's going to be a very limited playbook. And I think he's the last option. Nothing against the kid, but I don't think he's ready.
Okay.
And again, Peter, this team, if it gets everybody signed back that they want to, and they're going to lose some people, I don't care who the quarterback is. They're good enough to win 7-8 games. Just there. Can the quarterback win 2 more? This team can still go back to the playoffs. But when Brady retired, 28 franchises went, oh, that's a shame. One of them, the Buccaneers, went, damn. And the 3 teams in the NFC South went, yes, we're back in the race.
Yeah.
And I said that to our buddy Gus Cattengill down in New Orleans. He goes, oh, I can't wait. We just became the leading contender to win the NFC South, the New Orleans Saints.
Well, here's the thing. They don't have a coach. They don't even have a quarterback at this point. Carolina's in disarray. The Atlanta Falcons are the Atlanta Falcons. They're still blowing a lead right now as we speak. So it's not like, this is the AFC North. I get it. Parity is prevalent, but this division is god awful. So with that being said, going on that, Jameis Winston.
That was going to be the next thing I said.
Gary the Greek, our professional handicapper, who, by the way, not only gets picks right, but predicted that this would be Tom Brady's last year. 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, knows the offense. I get it. He has the 30 interceptions, but realistically, you don't have to retrain him to learn this system. You just have to tell the guy, don't turn over the damn ball.
Peter, if you were Jameis Winston, would you come back to Tampa unless it was your only option?
No.
Okay, end of story. I think they keep him in New Orleans.
Okay.
And again, you got to understand, Harry, you took Germany in World War II in the points, and I don't blame you. That was a good pick. but you lost that one. But when you look at what's going to happen with the rest of the NFC South, I'll tell you what, Carolina, yeah, they're in disarray. Atlanta and New Orleans are not that far away. Think about it. New Orleans damn near made the playoffs with a 4-string quarterback.
Right.
You
don't have Sean Payton there. And then on top of it, Taysom Hill. Look, if Taysom Hill's my quarterback, and I get it, he's had some success versus the Bucs. But
that ain't happening.
Nah.
You're not winning with that.
Nah.
Peter, that's the $64 question is who's going to New Orleans and who's going to Miami? I mean, I think with all this going down with Flores and Houston, you're going to see some really strange hires, I think.
We're going to get to that. But by the way, who in the hell wants to go to the Miami Dolphins as a coach? All right, so we got to get to this. This is a little bit controversial. I kind of, try to stay away from this kind of stuff, but we're going to get into it. We're on with Leo Haggerty, the legend himself. Landmark lawsuit filed on Tuesday by former Dolphins coach Brian Flores contains strong allegations against multiple NFL teams. One of those being the Miami Dolphins and Stephen Ross, where he contends that Ross asked him to tank, and every loss he had $100,000 he was going to be given. And then on top of it, the former coach, who I think had a 1-31 record for the Cleveland Browns, Hugh Jackson, says the Browns did the same thing. This is an absolute mess on the NFL's hands. What can they do about this?
Peter, I am going to bring you back to Tampa Bay, playing New Orleans at home, the last game of the season.
Yes.
And did the Bucs tank? No, but they put the JV in the second half.
I agree.
And yeah, they didn't tank officially, but they threw the game to get that first pick. And we see that. I think that's a bigger issue than this racial discrimination is owners telling coaches, hey, we'll pay you to lose. That with gambling such a big part of the game now.
Correct.
That is a black eye on the NFL. And Peter, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
I'm going to start the biggest conspiracy theory you've ever heard.
Go for it.
Do you honestly think Bill Belichick didn't premeditate that text message thread? Brian Flores was with him for 10 years.
Correct.
He was probably completely exasperated. That's 3 for tonight.
Wow.
At being fired after turning it around in Miami. And guess what? Bill Belichick had the albatross of Spygate and Deflategate hanged around his neck. Mm-hmm. Guess what he just hung around the NFL? Minority Gate. Well, welcome to the real world.
He does have a point because there's only one minority head coach in the National Football League. They have the Rooney Rule. Not only does he contend the Miami Dolphins, but he also says Broncos then general manager John Elway, president and chief executive officer Joe Ellis, and others showed up an hour late to an interview. Flores alleges at paragraph that 21, they looked completely disheveled and was obvious that they've been drinking heavily the night before. Of course, they go on to hire Vic Fangio, and consequently, they're hiring another coach. I mean, you look at the similarities between these organizations that he is suing. The Giants are absolutely awful. The Dolphins are absolutely awful. The Broncos are absolutely awful. So is it to anybody's surprise? And then furthermore, I want to put this in there because Jerry Jones was speaking, and this is what Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboy owner, had to say about the whole situation. I can see it's an area, one of many, that we can do better. He told Jory Espestein on Wednesday from the Senior Bowl. He also says, I think the fact that it's an issue shows not only the league's willingness to address and do better, I think the fact that it's being discussed as to how the Rooney Rule or what drives the Rooney Rule could be better. In the case of Coach Flores, complaint, he's saying it could be better, and the processes create a positive result for the league. He also goes on to say, we're a league of many boxes of all kinds in many, many areas. I never dreamed we could check as many boxes as we can check, but the more we become substantive, and we're a lot more substantive at a league and as a sport that we ever were when I got involved 30-something years ago, we're more pertinent and more germane than we were 10 years ago. The more that happens, the more boxes we're going to have come up that we need to check. As long as the league is continuing to be an influence that we are by the interest in the game, by continuing to try to improve over time, the list of boxes we'll need to address will get bigger, and we'll have to spend more time checking more boxes. But I welcome that. How would you like for nobody to be interested and nobody to even look at it or have the boxes or have boxes to check? Your thoughts, because that is an owner of the Dallas Cowboys admitting right now there is a major problem with the way the NFL looks at minority candidates.
Well, you know what, Peter? I still believe that there's only one color that the owner looks at, and it's green with a lot of dead presidents on it.
Right.
Now, again, we're not behind closed doors to see how these guys are interviewing.
Sure.
That's a huge part of this. We're not privy to what kind of information they get when they send their investigators out to find out what's going on. Is there domestic violence? Is there DUI? Is there something in the past that would completely eliminate this person as a candidate? We don't know that. But the fact that there are that Eric Bieniemy and Byron Leftwich still haven't gotten a sniff.
Right.
And again, Peter, every year, if you don't go to the playoffs, you're on the hot seat.
Correct.
And anywhere from 6 to 8 or 9 of those guys are going to get fired.
Right.
It's just the way of the world. And it's not Earth, Wind, and Fire singing it. It's just the way it is in the NFL. But I don't think the problem with the Rooney Rule is all it says is you got to interview them.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter, I was in so many interviews where the athletic director is sitting across with a notepad. He's not interviewing me for the job. He's interviewing me to pick my brain, to find out what he wants to do when he gets that head coach on. One time I just stopped and said, you have no interest in me as your head coach. You just want to find out what I would do to see if that's something you want to do. He said, boy, you're pretty astute. I said, no, I'm just, it ain't my first rodeo, cowboy.
Sure.
So, yeah. Sure. And again, I'm surprised Raheem Morris hasn't got a sniff. The way he's got the Rams, talk all about the Rams offense, that Rams defense has got him to the Super Bowl.
Agree.
And again, maybe it's because these guys are going so far into the playoffs that they don't have time to do first and second interviews. Maybe the NFL has to set a rule that says, okay, you can't hire till after the Super Bowl.
Right.
Or
maybe you get radical. I always talk about this all the time, Leo. If you want to eliminate steroids, you start suspending players for a year's time, or you start suspending them for life if you want to get it done. In the NFL, they took a stance on domestic abuse. 6 to 8 games, you started to see some of that stuff stop off the field. Maybe if you start awarding teams for hiring minority candidates, second and third round picks, and give them an incentive, because I get what people are saying. You shouldn't have to do that. But look, I'm not naive about this situation. I'm not going to sit here and say that the current thinking is all what we're thinking right now, that you look at money or you look at the best candidate at the end of the day. Maybe you have to start doing these radical things in order to get these people jobs, and they deserve the jobs. They're qualified. Flores is a guy who spent 15 seasons as a scout and an assistant in New England, and he's being treated like he doesn't have any coaching experience. It's absolutely disgraceful.
I can't deny any of that, Peter. It's it must be a dumpster fire down in Miami, because one, drafting Tua was a disaster.
Yeah. Well, the reason why he wanted the first round pick in the first place is you wanted to get a Joe Burrow, but you can't do that. I mean, you can't say you're going to tank games and pay a coach $100,000 to do it. And to me, I feel like the fans should be refunded their money. On top of it, the NFL should remove Mr. Ross. He should not be an owner. I don't care if he's friends with the owners. I don't care how much money he's making. It's bad. Also in Cleveland, they need to do the same thing with that owner. Why is the NFL dragging their heels on this situation?
Well, Peter, it's a he said.
Right.
That's the problem. There's nothing written. There's nothing audio. There's no video. And again, you're innocent until proven guilty. And if someone just comes out and says, "Oh, you did this," well, prove it. And again, it becomes your word against theirs. And right now, the NFL isn't going to jump real quick unless they have something to jump with.
Well, it certainly seems like this is not going away anytime soon. And what a shame, because we should be talking about the game. Let's go back to that game. Joe Burrow. I mean, what do you say about this kid? Second-year quarterback coming off a major injury his rookie year. Not a great offensive line. But you know what? Somehow, some way, this Cincinnati Bengal team gets it done. And to me, they've been galvanized by this kid who not only won a Heisman with LSU, won a national championship, and consequently, he wasn't good enough to play quarterback at Ohio State. Urban Meyer, you have no idea what you're doing when it comes to quarterbacks. Neither here nor there. I had to take a shot there, but your thoughts on Mr. Burrow?
Peter, I'm amazed he survived the week before, getting sacked 9 times, and they still beat Tennessee.
Right.
And again, kudos to the Bengals defense. Patrick Mahomes was clueless in the second half.
Right.
And all they did was rush 3 and drop 8 and say, okay, find somebody. And they couldn't. They flat out couldn't.
Sure.
They just put a blanket over everything. And, instead of just saying, okay, fine, we'll run it down your throat because we're up 18-3. But Joe Burrow, what a year he's had. Coming off a major knee injury, coming in. And how about my guy T. Higgins stepping up? And they've got a perfect mix out there. They got a guy like T. Higgins, 6'2", 6'3". Got a guy like Chase who can run like the wind. And Joe Mixon, another guy who, had some brushes with the legal system, just proved, okay, fine. Just give me the football. I can play. So
that's it. He can definitely play, and he's, he had the stuff out of college. His draft stock kind of dropped, but then again, he's been a model citizen for Cincinnati. He's a big component of it. But the story is not only Burrow, but Jamar Chase. I was against the drafting. I wanted to see them go with offensive line. I still think they should have went with offensive line. But Chase, you could consider this kid being a rookie the best wide receiver in the league, right?
He's close. He's close. And again, you got to give him room. He's just so fast and so elusive. And I got a feeling Joe Burrow may have lobbied for that pick, saying, hey, if he's there, bring him in. We have a chemistry. And you can see they start to click from day one.
What do you make of this Rams team? Are they a team of destiny in your opinion? I know we're going to talk about it more next week because the game's next week. But Matt Stafford's been playing out of his mind. The defense was able to stop the 49ers at critical times. They finally get over the hump versus the 49ers. I get it. It's a great story with the Cincinnati Bengals, but should we just say at this point that the Rams are basically going to win this Super Bowl simply because not only did they take care of business versus the 49ers, but the way right now Stafford is playing at an elite level?
And playing at home.
Yes.
That's
Right.
huge. That's
Right.
huge.
With the crowd.
Exactly. With the
it's
crowd.
It's not like last year. And look, I loved Tampa Bay Super Bowl, but let's be honest. You were in the press box, right? How many fans were
Nope.
No, you
Nope.
weren't in the press box.
They banned I'll tell you what,
Oh.
Peter, there was like maybe 12,000. But think about it. I think it was the Bucs' advantage. They went on the road to Washington, New Orleans, and Green Bay. No fans. They could hear. They could make their calls. They could do what they want to do.
Yes.
And then the Super Bowl, same thing. But I don't know which way to go. I'm still thinking about this one.
Okay.
Because the Rams, I don't know if the Rams won or if the 49ers lost. Just because of the calls they made. 3 times they're either at the 50 or in Rams territory and they punt it.
Yeah.
You got to remember what got you there.
Mm.
And again, same thing with Kansas City. When coaching profession, we'd say they exhaled. And when they exhaled, they couldn't get their foot back on the gas.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree with you on that. I'm just imagining 65, 70,000 fans there. You know, there's talk they could gain another 30,000. Of course, they've had problems with the 49er fans, but you're not going to have to worry about that now. I mean, that could be absolutely a disadvantage to the Cincinnati Bengals at that point.
Well, Peter, I've been to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
It's the quietest game in the world. You want to know why?
Why?
Only an eighth of the fans are cheering for one team. An eighth of the fans are cheering for the other team. And the other 3/4 don't care. They're just there for the look. It's unbelievably quiet. Because, you know, players get tickets. They sell their tickets. And we remember that back when Minnesota, the coaching staff there was making a killing selling player tickets and all that for the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
But it's amazingly quiet because nobody has a rooting interest. It's not like it was at Tampa Bay last 2 weeks ago. Man, God, when Leonard Fournette went into the end zone, I thought the place was going to erupt.
Wow.
And it's just not going to be like that because you're not going to have a whole, gaggle of fans. It's going to be very limited because of the NFL policy of who gets tickets to start with.
Any interest in the Pro Bowl this Sunday at all? Any interest? All right. What's more disinteresting to you, the Pro Bowl or the name change by the Washington football team, now known as the Washington Commanders? They took 2 years to steal an AAF name from the San Antonio Commanders. What do you think about the name change? How interested are you in that?
Different name, same old you-know-what in Washington. And if I'm Ron Rivera, I'm just shaking my head going, can someone please save me from these crazy people? And they still got that goofy logo. I don't know what they're thinking about with that. Just that big W on their helmet. Okay, great.
I mean, Red Wolves, you could have gone with. You ever seen the replacements? The Washington Sentinels. You could have had Keanu Reeves in there. What would you do? Have a whole promo, a whole ad campaign with Keanu Reeves and that whole team. Jon Favreau, who, directs some Marvel movies there from the Avengers. You got to have him on there. And you missed this golden opportunity. You went with the Commanders. Command this. Already somebody said, let's go Commando. Let's not. Leo Haggerty, go ahead and promote yourself here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Please go to itsportsmag.com. Put up a great final article to Tom Brady. And Rob Creek just put up his article on Big Papi getting into the Hall of Fame. And Adam Snatchazer is going to throw up what that dumpster fire is in Miami sometime later this week. But I'll tell you what, Peter, that's what I like about the NFL. There's never a dull moment. It may be, a playing and a non-playing season, but it's open season, and that's what we're seeing.
It really is. It's almost like watching an old Tampa Bay Buccaneer team in the red zone and, self-destruct Bucs. They keep on shooting themselves in the foot. And I feel like the National Football League, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot. But I tell you right now, Leo Haggerty, you are on point tonight. Thanks a lot for your time here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right, boss?
Yeah, and by the way, Peter, circle March 4th on your calendar. That's your next trip back to the Lightning. It's Friday night.
Well, consequently, that's the man upstairs, my father's birthday. So there you go.
Oh, that's perfect, because I'm taking my lovely bride because her birthday is March 12th, which is the closest home game. But hey, that's a perfect mix. We'll see you there.
Thanks a lot, my friend. I appreciate you. All right.
Take care, everybody. Be safe.
All right, and enjoy the XM Sirius Radio. If you ever need a co-host or somebody to come on, I'll be your co-host if you want.
I got Harry's number.
All right. All right. Good stuff, Leo. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
All right. There you go. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Love that guy. Always learns something. He always gives it to you just like you need it, right? He gives you the information. He tells it like it is. All our guests kind of do that. Now it's your turn. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to these comments here. Okay, we read that already. Let's see. We read this one. I get it. We addressed that. And again, for me, I definitely think Brian Flores has a case. I do. I think when your prominent owner and a Jerry Jones is coming out and saying, we have a problem here, you have to get radical. You do. And if you have to start investigations, if you have to start changing things, that's okay. Because at the end of the day, everything changes. And maybe it does need to change. It certainly looks like it does, doesn't it? And the way you get radical is you reward the teams that are going to hire those minority coaches with draft picks. Why not? I mean, if they're doing sham interviews, which again hasn't been proven, I don't feel like this guy's going to lie. In fact, I feel like he's a stand-up guy. He's somebody I feel like you would want to have a beer with. And to listen to him talk about it today, I would run through a wall for. And I still don't understand how a coach who, I get it, had a bad start at 1-7, goes 8-1, gets fired. Explain that to me. It's called a dumpster fire. That's what it's called. Stephen Ross should be removed, period. I mean, if you don't want to win, you want to tank, and you're paying a coach $100,000 to do it, and then you're firing a coach that refuses to do it, you're setting him up to fail. I mean, and all the distractions with Desean Watson and supposedly asking this coach to go and do recruitments on a quarterback that's under contract. I mean, come on. What are we talking about? This guy doesn't need to be an owner in the National Football League. I get it. He fits in, but maybe that's the problem. I mean, all these organizations have something in common. They're all hiring new coaches. Why? It's the snake. It's the top of the line. Somebody told me this a long time ago. Show me a great organization. I'll show you the head of it. And the head of all these organizations have something in common. They're dumbasses. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. What a black eye. What a disgrace. All right. Let's see. Michael says, well, let's go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the Evolution. You're leading it off here on the Sports Web. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Ernie Gonzalez. What's up, Pete?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing tonight? What do you have
Pretty
to say?
good, man.
Yeah. Well,
dude, I wanted to touch base on you. I work in the call center in an office,
of
and
course
I work for many
do.
different.
Of course you do. You
I
work with
crush
me.
Peter.
I will fire the cannons for that.
There you go. Yeah. Here comes the money.
Oh yeah. Well, yes. Well, we can't necessarily. I think we can play that, but we can't. I'm not going to take the chance here on YouTube. Because
I'm gonna quote it.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll sue me. They'll sue me for all my bucks.
Okay.
But you work and you get the idea that there's different levels of leadership. To talk about what you're referring to about ownership, and there's different levels of commitment to succeed. I don't care. These guys. You got a stadium. You got an NFL franchise, one of 32. You've got a gold mine. So it's sad to say, but whether they're winning or losing, they're generating large amounts of revenue. And the motivation, one or two teams a year really step it up, and you can see the desire to really, take it to the top, and they spare no time. The Rams are a good example this year. The Bucks did it.
Sure.
So there's, every year there tends to be two or three teams. Now what happens is the money wheel keeps spinning. So these guys, these owners, is there a tangible way to measure their desire to win?
Well, it's a great point. Because Bucks fans dealt with that for years with Hugh Culverhouse. You could lose, double-digit games and still make money, and people will go, well, this guy never spends anything. You know why? Well, he's getting paid money. He's still getting paid money. You're exactly right.
I tell you what, I used to live right down the street from the old Sombrero. They had campaigns to sell Minnesota Vikings, the Minnesota fan base tickets, and Green Bay, as well as Chicago. And one of the selling points was come to Tampa. So there's actual strategy to fill the stadium was to market to the opposing teams. Mm-hmm. So that's why you'd go on a Sunday and the Detroit Lions, they had more fans. Detroit Lions had more fans in certain games than the Tampa Bay Bucks, which is, laughable, is laughable. So, now easy scapegoat is your manager, and it just comes down to lazy leadership. The coach, let's call it.
Sure.
The head coach. Head coach lost. Okay, get rid of him. Get a new one. They turn him every 2 years. You're not really giving the guy a fair chance.
Nope. You're exactly right. And look, he went 24-25. You have a rookie quarterback. You have a team that you're coming in that's not great. He did the best with what he had. I get it. He had a slow start this year, but to finish 9-8 with a quarterback that's been injured some part of the year with all kinds of question marks, with all kinds of rumors. And then you got to work for an idiot owner like Ross, who's a complete and total idiot. I salute him.
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, some of these owners, they have it like their pony show. You know what I mean? I really believe that. It's a pony show. It's just, look what I've got. I'm mega rich, and I can own an NFL franchise. But the desire to succeed and win, they'd rather sell hot dogs and beer, and the revenue is going to be there. So it's a shame for the scapegoat, which ends up being the head coach, 9 times out of 10. But without the commitment to get players, just like in a workforce, if you don't train or develop or hire, talent, there's only so much you can do. There's only, you've got to, players got to play.
Yep.
So you lose your number one, your first round quarterback. It's going to make it more difficult. So given that, I think the guy did a heck of a job, to tell you the truth.
I agree. And I think, the lawsuit definitely has some legs. You hear from Hugh Jackson today. You see some of the evidence. Again, innocent before proven guilty. Of course, the NFL will have their side. These organizations will have their side. But honestly, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, there's one thing in common with all these organizations, right? They're all hiring coaches this year. And they're all mismanaged. And to me, it's all going to come out in the wash, and it may get worse for the National Football League. And I hate to say it, but, they got a lot of skeletons in the closet. And when you have your main owner and Jerry Jones coming out and saying, we've got a problem, we have to do better, that to me tells you everything you need to know. Yeah. They need to do something about it, and they need to do it in this offseason. You can't just have lip service and say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and do nothing. It can't continue to be the same. It has to change. Something has to change, and that's the reason why we have these conversations. With that being said, Ernie, give me your best Tom Brady memory as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer and tell me what you would do as Jason Light for this team going forward when it comes to quarterback, my friend?
Oh, dude, amazing. I was working at a Saab dealership. Remember Saabs, the vehicles?
Yep. Sure
and
do.
the greatest show on turf was on, and was in the Super Bowl, the Rams. And they were supposed to be unbeatable, man. And the guy at work's like, yeah, and it was a 13-point spread. Of course, I put $20 on it, and the guy says, it's 13 points. I'll give you 20. And I said, you're gonna give me 20 points?
Yeah.
I'm not, condoning gambling, whatever. But it was just a fun time with one of the sales guys. And I said, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. And it was, obviously Tom Brady's first Super Bowl. And dude, when Vinatieri kicked that field goal, man, I mean, I was thrilled for the team because he really put a lot of work and effort. And the guy you could tell he was a different breed. He was a pocket passer. He was incredible, smart guy. They had a great defense also, underrated.
Sure.
And when that field goal went in, man, the guy on Tuesday, he tucked his head and he had the $20 waiting for me, man.
what about with the Bucks, with his Bucks time? What was your favorite memory with him?
Oh man, you're kidding. Oh, dude, him chewing out the honey badger. Him chewing out the honey badger, man. Tom Brady's got a reputation. That was the guy he chewed out. Am I wrong?
Yes. No, you're right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
When he went after him, I mean, that's the Tom Brady you love because he has that competitive fire, almost like a Michael Jordan. He'll get up in your grill if you try to challenge him. Yeah. And look at the honey badger at the time was trying to challenge him, said something to him. Tom Brady said something to him. And it was really interesting at that point. Really was.
That was amazing. Because, Tom Brady has a reputation of being a nice, well-spoken guy, very calculated. And I'm like, this guy, he's pretty tough too. He's actually a tough, you know what I mean? He's not going to take it from the other team, that. And of course, when they beat Green Bay the week before, we were going to the Super Bowl. That was, that was a good game. But yeah, moving forward, they got a lot of questions. They got a lot to work on. I mean, they got the backup guy from Florida. What is it? Florida? Did he go to Florida or
Kyle
something?
Trask. Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. So they've got him. So they've got definitely questions at quarterback, which is a huge part of it. And you can see what an almost okay quarterback can do. I mean, they had Jameis Winston first, number 1 pick. And we all know how that, kind of.
Would you bring him back? He's a free agent. Would you bring him back, or would you go in a different direction, or would you go all in again and give up multiple first-round picks to go out and get a Russell Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers? What are you doing there?
Oh, see, that's the good. See, to me, Jameis Winston, he's just a stamped, backup quarterback. Unfortunately,
okay.
That's how I see him. I don't know. Maybe he could start for some teams. I just don't see another team giving him a chance to do that, especially the Bucks. I just don't believe that's something that would happen. But that's the big question. Do they go young? Do they go
I'm asking you, what would you do?
Man.
What would you do? Yes, you're the general manager. What would you do?
That's the big question. I don't know how Aaron Rodgers feels about shooting another 2 years here, and we could go the old school route again. I don't know. I haven't kept up with it. But an Aaron Rodgers in a Bucks uniform, I think that would be pretty good. Something like that would be amazing.
Okay.
But I'm sure he's got other goals and plans. But yeah, and Aaron Rodgers in Pewter, dude, we'd make the playoffs instantly again. Our division's set up to where I think a good quarterback like that, even if he's tailing off, which he's not, obviously, I think that makes us a contender. So I'd go veteran. Tell you the truth, man.
Right.
You got Bruce Arians. I'd go veteran guy. That's my look at it. These younger quarterbacks, I haven't been impressed by a young quarterback in a long time. Mm-hmm. I like pocket passers, and these young guys, they like to run like a Mahomes type.
Sure.
So Mahomes is growing on me, but I don't like all the improvisation. I don't think it fits well with a veteran coach.
Yeah.
Like Bruce Arians, more like a McVay type, let him, even though he's got Stafford, but I think we need more of a veteran quarterback. I think that'd give us a chance there. But there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions where it's not going to be our strongest draft. I know that,
yeah. Well,
we've given up some picks, and it's gonna. I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, you got the 27th overall pick. You may trade that to get a quarterback. I mean, that's what you would do. We'll see what happens. All right, good stuff. Let me go ahead and give you the Byron Leftwich.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Let me fire those cannons. And Ernie, don't be a stranger on the evolution of sports talk television, my friend. All right.
You got it. You got it, Peter.
All right, buddy. See you tomorrow.
See you.
There you go.
Bye.
Good stuff right there. People calling from work, talking to me. I love it. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. We'll go another 30 minutes and then we'll get out of here. I'm not going 3 hours tonight. Sorry, guys. I did that last night. Michael says, do you think the Bucs will allow Brady to still have some input on the team or helping them find what they need? Because I believe the fact of the matter is Brady knows that the Buccaneers appreciate him more in the 2 years he was there than the Patriots did in the 20 seasons. Great comment. And you could see by his address, his retirement speech, that he did not mention the Patriots. And a lot of people will butthurt about that. Tell you what, let's go out to this guy, Jim from Ohio. Damn it, Jim. Stand by here. Hold on a minute, Jim. Let me put you on hold really quick. Sean the Sports Don, we got Jim on the line. I'll come back to you in a moment. Let me put you on hold. Here we go. Jim, go ahead, my friend. Hold on, Jim. Jim, are you there? Hold on. Jim, are you there? Jim?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Damn it, Jim. What's going on? Welcome to the Evolution.
What up? I just wanted to holler at you.
All right.
What was you talk about the quarterback? I think we should get a veteran too.
All right. Who do you
Maybe,
like? Who does Jim right now like as the general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Are you going all in? Are you going with 2 first-round picks? Or are you going for a Jimmy Garoppolo? What is Jim doing at general manager for the Bucs?
I like what's the name out of Seattle?
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Russell Wilson type, maybe. I wouldn't mind getting Aaron Rodgers, but like you said, that's gonna be a lot of work to try to get him.
Well, yeah, he's 38 years old. You're gonna have to trade multiple picks, and then on top of it, I'm not sure if Green Bay is gonna trade him to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We shall see.
Right.
And Sean, call on back. We'll get you on the line here after Jim. But so you like Russell Wilson? Anybody else besides Russell Wilson?
Maybe what's his name out of the Raiders?
Mm-hmm. Derek Carr. Derek Carr. Yeah.
I think he's a good quarterback. Got an arm.
Yeah. Certainly he's got an arm. There was some comments today by Josh McDaniels, which we'll get to in a little bit here, where he basically says in so many words, he's ready to run the offense with him. So I think that kind of puts him out, but you never know. It could be lip service. It could be coach speak. We don't know where the Raiders are going to go and what the right offer is at that point. What else, Jim? What's your favorite memory of Tom Brady?
Oh, man. I guess him celebrating, throwing a daggone trophy from ship to ship.
Off the boat, right? You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tampa Tommy, you like that?
People think they're going to fall in the water. That lady's face that they took a picture of, it was funny.
Well, even his daughter is saying no, no, no. And the whole, you could hear his little daughter say, no, daddy, no. And he, of course, he completes the pass because, that's Tom Brady at that point.
Right.
But yeah.
I was hoping he could do it again, but the Rams had other decisions.
Yep. Well, it didn't happen because of the injury situation to the offensive line, and also it didn't help with losing 2 of your key weapons, and of course a Godwin and an AB. It doesn't ever help at all.
Who do you think we're going to bring back as far as player?
For me, I think your first priority has got to be Chris Godwin. I think Carlton Davis gets franchised. I certainly think you have to go with the Whitehead, and then at that point, it becomes one offensive lineman. I think it's Ryan Jensen. Alex Kappa is gone. You re-sign an Aaron Stenny because he's a cheaper option. I think Kappa could be, headed to another place. And then, William Golston. But it just depends on how much money they're going to be able to free up. And you never know with Jason Lyon and Greenberg over there. They do some deals and redo some deals, of course, restructure. So that frees up some money, pushes the money down the road. I guess it depends on what type of quarterback, but of course you're going to have to free up some money and see what that situation is. But my first priority has to be Chris Godwin.
Right. You think they're going to get rid of Ndamukong Suh because he's a little older?
I think he is. I think that's certainly a possibility. You could go out and draft a younger option. I love Suh. I still think he brings something to the game, but he's getting up there in age. He may price himself out. I think the Bucs may move on, but you never know. But I think this is the year they move on. I do. I think Suh's not on this team.
Is Shaq Barrett up for
No, Shaq's under contract, but the guy that you have to look at right now that's a free agent would be JPP. That's the guy that I think And I think Leo's right. You bring him into the office. You may let him test free agency. If he can't find anything, then you bring him back at a reduced rate. If not, then you lose him. So these are the kind of tough decisions that Jason Light and this organization are going to have to make this year. And, it's going to break some fans' hearts. But, that's the business. It's the NFL, which means not for long.
Right.
So,
well, I hope he does a good job. Jason Light don't do too bad. So.
Right. I mean, like I said last night in the monologue, have faith. You have faith in Jason Light, have faith in Bruce Arians, and have faith that the Glazers are going to do what's best for this organization going forward. Do you have faith?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think he's solid.
All right.
At the top. So
good stuff. Anything else, Jim?
No. We have a good year coming up.
All right. We'll keep on
Good luck
calling.
to Tom Brady's future.
Yep. There you go. Tom Brady's future right there. Let me go ahead and give you the Byron Leftwich.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Let me fire those cannons. Appreciate your call. As always, don't be a stranger. Damn it, Jim. Thanks a lot for the call. All right. Good stuff there. Jim always calling in from Ohio. Got to love it. I think there could be some input if he wants to, but we don't know what Brady wants to do after football. Does he want to be a coach? I don't think so. Does he want to be a broadcaster? Possibly, but I think more than anything else, he wants to concern himself with his businesses. He's an entrepreneur, and I think he may be wanting to look to be an NFL owner. Honestly, I do. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend SC, free Flores, free Watson, free Bieniemy, free Gruden. I'm not going to even comment on that. Welcome back to Tampa. Gruden, no.
Shut up!
Ben says, reason I don't see Jameis coming back to the Bucs is mainly the fan base, the front office, and ownership know that Jameis is to no fault of his own, but his play as quarterback divided a fan base, and as a business, the team doesn't want to have a drop-off in attendance. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just my personal opinion on it. And I'll tell you what, I'll fire the cannons. Because I tend to agree with you on that. I don't think there is any coming back, but you never know. I'm the tribal troll, and the moderator acknowledged me. All right, Rick says, you left out Burrow. Did I? I didn't leave out Burrow, did I? All right. What Bucs fans don't realize is that the team just went through the whole Antonio Brown debacle. I understand AB and Watson are two different situations, but I don't believe, guilty or not, that the Glazers would go through that type of process again. They made an exception for AB only because of Brady, and that's what Brady wanted. Exactly. Woo! Agree. Michael says, I think the next quarterback for the Tampa Bay Bucs will be Jimmy G. If not, they will settle on Trask or Blaine Gabbert because of the cap space that they are in. Good stuff there. Rick says, Greg said Trubisky was a franchise quarterback. All right, let's go out to this guy. No intro for him. I'm not getting copyrighted. Mr. Sean, the Sports Don, welcome to the Evolution. Go ahead and sing your intro if you like.
Well, ain't nobody dope as me. I'm just so fresh, so clean.
So fresh and so clean. Yeah. I was giving you the backup, man. What's going on, buddy? What do you have to say tonight? Welcome to the Sports Web.
Oh, man, I heard you talking to my boy Leo.
Yeah.
Tell Leo I say what's up. Tell Leo I'm mad he didn't invite me to the hockey game.
Well, look, and you know what? We should all go and hang out sometime, maybe at a hockey game, not work-related, or maybe you should get your ass on here, get your video camera working, and, show your face because, guys, webheads, this is one of the founding fathers of the sports web. This is the original co-host, Mr. Sean, the Sports Don. I love him to death. I love him like a brother. So you're always welcome, my friend, here on I Love St. Pete and, of course, the Hub.
Did I hear correctly that Leo said something about his new mistress or something? I mean, what am I missing? Did I hear that correctly? He's taking his new missus out? Is that what's happening?
It's his wife. Yes, he's
okay.
Yes. Yes.
But it's not a new miss. I mean, I don't know. Because I used to try to get Leo to go hang out with me sometime. I figured me and him to go hit the town up. And, now he done went and hit up town without me and then got married. What's going on?
Well, I definitely think that is his wife that he's had for years. But we know the prowess of Leo Haggerty. If you hang out with him, first, he's a legend. Second, he's on Fox Sports Radio, sometimes XM Sirius Radio. And anytime you hang out with the great Leo Haggerty, you're going to put on those LBs because you're going to eat right.
No, I mean, he does it right. He does it right.
Yep.
I mean, I
Sure
already
does.
know that.
Sure does.
I heard you guys talking about a lot of stuff tonight. Well,
Sure.
when I tuned in, and one of the things is like what's going on with Flores, and you know, the NFL has a problem.
Yep.
In a lot of ways, and I as a African American man myself, I am. You know, I'm reading a lot of the blogs or fans and just people in general. I don't really think they understand what the gripe is when they, because I'm seeing a lot of them say things that really is offensive to me. Okay, as a black man, because there's no way you can have 80% players in this league.
Sure.
And there's only one black head coach.
Agreed.
You can't tell me that there are not any black assistant coaches out there that are not capable of being head coaches, or at least capable of getting the opportunity to fail.
Correct.
Like a lot of these other coaches get an opportunity to. I'm saying those black coaches will get there and win Super Bowls and be the greatest coach of all time. What I'm saying is give them an opportunity to fail as much as you give other coaches the opportunity to go and fail.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I think it's so disingenuous. You know, obviously the Rooney Rule is a farce. It's been a farce for 20 years because we know, and we've been saying this for years, that a lot of these owners are just calling these black candidates up just so they can meet that Rooney Rule quota.
Correct.
But there's no real intention of them hiring these guys.
Sure.
So when we do that, the NFL, there's a problem, and they have to fix it. And again, I just want to say to all the fans that are out there that are not of a minority persuasion, it's really disingenuous to think that there's no minority that can be successful as a head coach, or as if they do get an opportunity to interview, is because you're just trying to meet a quota. Some of these guys are legitimately great candidates for head coaching jobs.
Yep. And
I look at the history of the NFL. They used to tell me that black guys could not play quarterback. We see that that's a farce. We have many black Pro Bowlers that are quarterbacks, but they used to tell us that blacks were not smart enough to be quarterbacks. And what I'm seeing now with some of the things that I'm reading is as if some of the fans out there think that there are no black coaches smart enough to be head coaches, and it's the same language, just a different position. And I'm telling you, I am so hurt by some of the things that I'm reading, and it's just it hurts because the NFL has not done a better job of giving more people opportunities to be in a position of power. And that's one thing I got to say about my Buccaneers. Since the Glazers have taken over, they've been in the forefront of that type of thing, getting women coaches. We've had 2 or 3 black head coaches.
Right. I think it's also I think it's also BA, in his influence, bringing on guys.
Right. But he's an extension of what the Glazers have implemented.
Correct.
The Glazers had, like I said, 3 black head coaches prior to Arians getting here, and Arians having the only staff to have, coordinators all black. He sees that there's an issue, and I'm saying hats off to my organization for being in the forefront of that with the women, getting women coaches, full-time coaches, not just interns, full-time coaches, defensive line coaches. And they believe that young lady brings something to the table. And they believe our strength and conditioning coach brings something to the table. That's why they're on this team. And I just feel like I'm reading and I'm hearing some things, and I'm sorry, Spot, I don't like to be on this type of soapbox, but to those who are thinking that these candidates, these black candidates, have no, like they're only getting a shot because it's quota and they're unqualified, I get sick to my stomach, because they are 100% qualified, And they just need the opportunity to fail, just like everybody else. You didn't notice I didn't say to succeed. I said to fail, because there are a lot of white coaches that get their jobs and they fail. All we're saying is let us fail too. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Give them the same opportunities. If the person is qualified, no matter color of skin, they should get the opportunity. We're on with Sean, the sports don. And when you have Jerry Jones, a prominent owner who I'm not the biggest fan of, but when he's coming on saying, look, we could do a better job, we got a problem here, that is an eye-opener for me. And I feel like the NFL is in hot water because this is only going to get worse. You heard from Flores today. He seemed absolutely genuine. You look at his track record, 15 seasons as a scout, an assistant with the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. He's getting sham interviews. You have guys that are showing up an hour late to an interview drunk. You got a guy that's interviewing me, but already
was that John Elway?
Yeah.
Was that John Elway?
Yeah.
And you know what? And and I was just talking with someone the other night saying how much I put John Elway in the top 5 quarterback of all time. So I'm not, and again, I wasn't in that interview, but if John, because I guess Flores said he showed up or he was hanging out the night before or whatnot. You know, if you're not taking it seriously, if you're showing up drunk.
Well, Sean, that's the reason why they're hiring a coach now. That's the reason why they hired, Vic Fangio at the time, Nathaniel Hackett. Elway tries to go back to the Manning well, getting veteran quarterbacks like Joe Flacco and Teddy Bridgewater, and he is completely failed besides Peyton Manning. So the reason why is, and I keep on saying this with the organizations, what they have in common, it's the head of the snake. It's the head of the organization. If that head is bad all throughout the organization, that venom is going to seep through. That's the reason why these are piss poor organizations with dumbasses running it. Is that good enough?
Well, I mean, because again, I'm a John Elway fan, and I will say this about John Elway. Like, he's done a decent job as, the GM or whatever his title is, because he did win a Super Bowl, and under his watch, they've gone to 2 Super Bowls.
Right.
So he's done a good job on those type of things, and you're not going to be a Super Bowl contender every year, but his teams are decent. But I'm saying the lack of respect, if this is the truth, the lack of respect of showing up to an interview, whether you're the interviewer or the interviewee, showing up drunk says that you don't take this seriously. Yeah. And if that really took place, I'm saying to myself, to all the fans again that are saying that, maybe black people are whining or they're trying to get jobs that they're not qualified for. Think about that for a moment. Yeah. You're going in to get an interview and the person who's interviewing you is drunk or hungover. Yep. Like, are you really feel like you're being taken seriously regardless of color?
No.
Like, you can't justify that if those things have taken place. And I just think that if we're 20 years in to this Rooney Rule, and when that Rooney Rule was established, it was 3 black head coaches.
Yeah.
And here we are 20 years later, there's only 1 black head coach. That means there's a total failure.
Yeah, it's a failure, and I'm radical with this. I mean, this was being talked about, giving compensation to teams that are not only willing to interview minorities but also hire them. Start giving teams draft picks, and I think you start to see change. And the people say, "Well, that's not fair." Well, what you were doing the last 40 to 50 years is not fair. You've got to take a stand on this if you really want to do something, and if you have to change something, that's the way you got to do it. Sean, the sports star, on with us here on the Evolution, having this conversation. That, some people may turn it off. Turn it off. I don't give a damn. This is my show. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to talk about. I'm incensed about Stephen Ross being an owner in the NFL and actually paying a guy that he hired. Good for him. He hired the guy. But then he said, we want you to tank, and every loss you have is $100,000. Now we hear from Hugh Jackson of the Cleveland Browns doing the same thing. The NFL, in your opinion, has to take a stand on this. Ross cannot be an owner of the Miami Dolphins, right?
Well, first of all, this thing is about, when I hear fans all the time, I've read this too today, that fans are like, well, teams tank all the time. Well, no, teams don't intentionally tank. And what I mean by that is this. Yes, we saw Lovie Smith in the second half of the very last game where he pulled pretty much everybody so he could ensure he got Jameis Winston.
Correct.
That's the tank.
I think we think that. Right. Yeah.
We're not tanking in week 5. We're not there. So when we saw fans get on like the Jets a couple years ago, or the Jets when they won a game late, like, oh well, you went from being able to get the quarterback of the Jaguars pick because you won a game in week 12, and like, listen, these players. They work all week to go out and win. These coaches, they strategize all week to go out and win. If you're a sorry team, sometimes you're just a sorry team. It doesn't mean you're intentionally taken.
Yep.
It means we're just not good.
Yep.
But those players go out there to try to win because you know what? When they go back home, they get talked about if your team sucks. Oh, well, you suck because your team's only 3-13. They don't want to hear that. These players, they are friends with other players in the league. They don't want to go on vacation and hear how their team sucks. So there's competitive juices. These players are not out there trying to lose on purpose. And if you have a coach telling him to lose on purpose, you have lost the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
You've lost the locker room.
You lost the locker room, and you also were set up to fail.
And my money is my money, and I'm trying to feed my family. I can't feed my family if I'm tanking.
Sure.
I gotta put good tape out there. And if I'm a coach and I want to get hired the next time, I have to be able to stand on what I did and why I did it and why I made these particular decisions, because I cannot lose on purpose, because no one else will know that if that's something that I did. They're only going to look at the film. And so the fans that says teams tank all the time, they don't. They don't. Like I said, you may have a game where you say, well, we're going to put the young guys in and see what they got for next year. But you're not tanking for 16 weeks. You're not doing that.
Yeah.
You're not doing that. And you shouldn't do that. And if an owner is asking them to do that, like you say, he probably shouldn't be an owner in the NFL.
I agree. Do you think the players have a responsibility? You talked about 70% of the league. Do you think they have a responsibility to stand up for this issue and make things change?
Well, it's kind of hard for me to tell them to do that, because I understand they're trying to accumulate wealth for their family. So a lot of them are dealing with things, we've talked about this before. Should I take less money on the contract and stuff like that?
Sure.
Their fight right now isn't about coaching. Their fight is about playing right now. So I got to do whatever I got to do to make sure my family eats. And maybe I can get some generational wealth if I'm really good. I'll worry about that once I get to that level if I want to coach.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What has to happen is the coaches have to probably start, like a Bruce Arians. There needs to be a champion of those coaches. You look at Tony Dungy. When he was a coach, he championed pushing the black coaches out there, because that's what happened to him with Denny Green.
Mm-hmm.
He got in the coaching though, Tony Dungy did, because Chuck Noll said, hey man, you can coach. And he fostered that. So unless you're fostering that's a coaching, that's a different fraternity than the players. You hear it all the time. Coaches don't go into the locker room. They let the players police the locker room.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
The coaches coach. The players play, and they let the players police the locker room. So there's a different fraternity. I think some of these coaches and some of the owners, like Jerry Jones, have to speak out on it a little bit more to get real change, because real change is not taking place. And if you have the good old boy network or the buddy system or whatever you want to call it, this is what you're going to get. And doing nothing, you're going to get the same results.
Correct.
It's the NBA. And I know we're different sports, but the NBA, they never have this issue.
No.
Because there are a lot of black head coaches in the NBA.
Correct.
There are a lot of black head coaches that have been successful, went on and won NBA championships as head coaches. Ty Lue, Doc Rivers, Casey Jones. I can go on and on. You got black coaches that are Hall of Famers, Lenny Wilkins and things that they have a culture that they understand.
Right.
That you can be any color and be a head coach. And now you see them now trying to usher in women.
Why not?
Being coach, stuff like that. So the NFL has a problem. What went on with the Washington Redskins, with how they were doing things, with some of the comments they were making, with the women comments they were making,
Ridiculous.
That's a black eye on it.
Yep.
The NFL has to clean some things up, because what this young man is doing in Flores, he's taking the Band-Aid off and he's showing you there's a lot of wound here and the Band-Aid get covered up. And he's taking a big chance by doing it, but somebody has to be the first, and I guess he's the one.
Well, and he already said he may not get a coaching job in the National Football League, and you may be right about that because of the bad PR. But at the end of the day, if it brings change, then I'm all about it because there's something that definitely needs to change with this situation. With that being said, what did you think?
One more thing.
Yes.
I'll say one more thing about this too.
Yeah.
Let's take an Airbnb.
How does he still not have a coaching job? And look, he may be waiting out for Andy Reid to leave, and that may be the posh job he really wants. But how does he not get more interviews? How is he not looked upon with what he's done in that offense? I get it. People say Andy Reid, but Eric Bieniemy has also had some part in that development for Patrick Mahomes. Why isn't he getting more consideration from these general managers and owners? Make some sense of this.
And this is why I brought him up, because a lot of people will say, well, he doesn't call plays, or Andy Reid calls plays. But see, the reason why that argument holds no value to me, because Matt Nagy got a job.
Matt Nagy gets a job.
Andy Reid,
right.
Under Andy Reid, and he wasn't calling plays. So you can't tell me that's why. So again, you're looking at a situation where you're moving the goalposts when it comes to some of the black candidates. Where if you say if that's the reason why Bieniemy's not getting the job, well, you gave Nagy one, and he was under Andy Reid, and Andy Reid, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's just really, like I said, the NFL has some issues that they have to address. They have to address it. And I get it. If you own a team, you can hire whoever you want to hire. I understand that. But at the end of the day, though, if we're not, because the NFL got a rule right now that if the Bucks were to lose Leftwich, we get 2 third-round picks. Because we had a black coordinator that went and got a job, so we'll get rewarded for losing him. That's an incentive teams have for making someone a coordinator. Like that shouldn't even be part of the equation.
Yep.
Even though it helps the Bucks, but the fact that we have to do those type of things to get black candidates in a position of power to reward the team that lost the black candidate 2 third-round picks, that's just not a good look for the league whatsoever.
No, it's not a good look at all. Good stuff here, Sean, the Sports Don. Anything else, my friend? Because I'm getting off in about 4 minutes here. I'm not going 3 hours like I went.
I was just hitting you up, bro, because you told me last night you would be on again.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Definitely Don't Be a Stranger will be on Friday night on 1252 Chicago Sports, also this channel. Yeah.
And I hope I didn't run off any of your callers with my conversation.
Oh, man.
That Flores was a big topic today.
I agree.
And I know a lot of people were talking about, I was in a big debate about it myself yesterday. And it's not about Flores. It's just about the whole. It's just not a good look.
It's not a good look. It's not a good optic.
And when you tell me someone gets fired, because they may not be qualified enough. Every year we have 8 teams that fire coaches. So every year, for the most part, those coaches are predominantly white that's being fired. So if we're going to fire 8 coaches every year. Well, let's let 4 of them be black. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be crying.
Just give him the opportunity.
Give him an opportunity.
I like
give
to
see. To get fired.
I like to see a Jay-Z own a football team. I like to see some things change in the process. And like you said,
I think we need more black owners. It don't have to be Jay-Z. Well, I want the owners that are up here right now to look at this and say it's a problem. Sure. Because see, Spider, that's the problem I'm having right now. If I gotta wait for a black man to get in a position of power, meaning own the team in order to get a black head coaching job, then we as a country, we have not gone any further than what we were 200 years ago. You see where I'm going? You see where I'm going with that? I should see an owner that owns a team right now that could say, hey, that black man right there, he's qualified. Let's put him in this position. Let's see what happens. Hey, I've been owning the team for 30 years. What the worst can happen? I got 3 years of him doing poorly. I get somebody else. But to not ever give him an opportunity, I was reading this. The Giants been in existence for 100 years. They've never had one black head coach. 100 years. 100 years.
All right, my friend. Good stuff. Yeah, come on, man. Let me give you the Byron Leftwich.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Let me give you the Ric Flair. Woo! Appreciate the call as always, and don't be a stranger here on the Evolution. All right.
Man, you have a good one, man. And I'm sorry if I ran off any of your
Bro,
your
you did
fans
not
that were
run
listening.
off, and never, ever, please, let me make this PSA out there. Please, never, ever apologize for having great conversation here on the Sports Web. No matter how controversial it is, we're not going to back away from it. Thanks a lot for the call. Thanks a lot for your contribution, brother. I love you, and we'll talk to you soon, all right?
Yes, sir, brother. You have a good evening now.
All right, good stuff there. So fresh and so clean, Mr. Sean, the Sports Don, right there, founding father of the Sports Web. All right, so let's read the rest of these comments, and then we'll wrap it up for the night. A very passionate show. A very educational show, I think. I think you learned something tonight. I think you did. Hopefully you did. Between Dennis Phillips of ABC Action News and Leo Haggerty and Sean and all the callers here. So let's read these comments and we'll get out of here. Agree with that. Good stuff. Michael says, I think the next quarterback. Okay, we read that one. Ben says, Jimmy Garoppolo, in my opinion, isn't a good fit in Arians' offense. He's not comfortable in the pocket, doesn't have a great deep ball. NBA's offense, you need a pocket quarterback who can throw the deep ball. Troy Polamalu says Cousins. Michael says, I think Jimmy Garoppolo can honestly win the NFC Championship, at least for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He did it with a less talented offensive core. Yes, the 49ers have a great defense, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a decent defense as well, with the coaching staff most likely could probably stay in contact. And Jason likes continuing as a general manager. This Buccaneer team will be a decent team for years to come. Agree with that. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan legend. Bucks have showed interest in Mason Rudolph. Once again, fake news.
Shut up!
Brady retired before February 4th and saved us $15 million. That is not true. Should have retired after February 4th. Bonehead. Again, this stuff is not true. Go to Greg Allman's Twitter. He pointed it out. The money's being given to him anyway. It's just being deferred. He's already got the money. Brady retired yesterday to take away from the Flores bomb, 1777. He is still getting his money. Troy again. Brady is getting millions while that guy who caught a 600 touchdown ball got 2 jerseys. David says, Peter, will you ask? All right, already asked that. David again. Do you believe what the Miami ex-coach said about him and the GM and the Miami Dolphins owner meeting with Brady on his private yacht multiple times to talk about Brady playing for the Dolphins? Wow. I'm not going to rule it out. Not with this owner. It may be Tom Brady. Who knows? Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan legend. Gronk has been overrated. I think you're overrated.
Shut up!
Gronk has absolutely been unbelievable in this offense. Not only as an inline blocker, but as a pass-catching threat. I don't know what you're watching or what you're on. Am I allowed to troll Leo? Laugh out loud. Troy Polamalu. Only I'm allowed to troll Leo. Nobody trolls Leo. If I'm light, I'm paying Leftwich to stay at home and not be a game calling plays. To me, picking a coach, just like picking a draft pick, you have somebody in mind that fits the system you want to run, and not every coach fits that system. That's fair. That's a fair assessment. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not a fair point. But when you're doing sham interviews and you've already got a candidate, why even do it? And then you're showing up an hour late, drunk. Again, all this is alleged. You know, my problem is the owner. Well, you tank, you lose games. I get it. We want Joe Burrow. We'll give you $100,000 for every loss. What? Huh? It's supposed to be competitive sports. What the hell are you talking about? And then people start to say, well, you know, the gambling aspect has been added to the NFL. So, of course, you know, it's fixed. Games are fixed. And that's all you need to have happen in the National Football League. Keep it up. Roger Shue says Leftwich won a Super Bowl. Have you, Troy? Exactly. Good stuff. I will fire the cannons for that. Brady won him a Super Bowl. That's a terrible comment because it's a team win.
Shut up!
Roger says there'll always be the Redskins to me, but they are the Commanders. Roger Shue says call them the Washington Commies. Stop it right there. Come on, you're being dumb.
Shut up!
I heard Washington wanted the name that nobody can sue them over or make them change again. Roger Shue says Brian Flores is a punk. Disagree with you on that. Free my big homie Flores. Roger Shue again. What's up, Ernie, my dude? David says To me, Brian Flores was so pissed off at how the Miami Dolphins were being run. Why didn't he say something at the time? Why did he wait until after he got fired to say what they were doing was wrong? I heard he was on the boat, and I wonder how many of those 100,000 paychecks did he actually take? We'll find out. We'll find out soon enough, my friend. We'll find out because it'll all come out. And it's getting worse by the day. But the truth will set everybody free, won't it? Right? Policy Scout is in the house tonight. Love Policy Scout. Let me go ahead and give the air horn. And Peter, what I was getting at with Flores was okay when he was getting paid, but now it ain't getting paid now, so he thinks he's wrong. Well, I mean, David, I guess you should have asked yourself at this point. I don't know if he took the $100,000. I don't think he did because they didn't get the number 1 overall pick. In fact, I think they had 5 wins that year. So I don't think he took a lot of $100,000, right? Doesn't seem like that type of man. I don't know him personally, but just hearing him talk, he seems like a stand-up guy. And I feel like his dismissal from the Miami Dolphins was disrespectful. Just my opinion. How the hell do you fire a guy with all those distractions, injuries, who goes 8-1? 9-8 for the year. I don't understand it. But hey, look, that's the reason why the Miami Dolphins are a dumpster fire. I mean, and Bucs fans know all about this. You know, you continue to hire coaches and then fire them every 2 or 3 years. And guess what? You're a dumpster fire. You're not winning many games. You know why? No continuity. No purpose. No foundation. Nothing consistent. And this leadership of these teams is a direct reflection of that. That's the reason why these teams keep on firing and hiring coaches, because their leadership stinks. What's wrong with selling hot dogs and beer? The 2000 Rams were cheaters because they played in fake grass. They also cheated the Bucs in the playoffs with help from the refs. Truth. I don't know about that. That seems, once again, some fake news, but I won't give you the horn on that. Erie hit the, I think he's talking about Ernie. I wouldn't want Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. They already showed that they wouldn't take pay cuts to help bring better players in. It's an astute point, and it's a point of emphasis for this team. And if the cap stays where it's at, 15 to 16 million, it's going to be even more difficult to get one of those quarterbacks. Not only get one of those quarterbacks and pay them, but also give up the draft compensation that you're going to have to give up here in the next couple of years. Christopher Cole says, hey, Peter, sorry I'm late. It's okay. Thank you very much. Carr would be great. And let me go ahead and put that rumor out. New general manager Dave Ziegler said that the team will see how everything fits together with quarterback Derek Carr and kind of work from that point. When asked about the contract extension at Tuesday's introductory press conference, head coach Josh McDaniels sounds like he sees Carr as a part of the foundation. See the word foundation of the Raiders team he wants to build. In fact, he was on Sirius XM NFL radio. McDaniels said Carr has impressed me for a long time. Also talked about Carr being a leader of the team when he was hired to coach this week. I mean, that's the reason why you hire a McDaniels. I mean, McDaniels sees the goods, right? The goods are there. I like Carr. I want to coach him. That's the reason why you choose the team. If you don't want to choose the Raiders, you don't like the quarterback, why choose the team in the first place? He also said it'd be really fun experience for me to continue to build this thing with him as our leader. He's certainly capable of doing a lot of great things he's done with them before in his career. I'm just looking forward to getting to know him, how he learns the best, what he does, and how we put this thing around him the best way we can help him be successful and help our team ultimately achieve our goals. So to me, Derek Carr is out. Because taking that coach at his word, and we know that things can change just like that, I would have to think that Josh McDaniels and the Raiders organization want to go forward with a Carr. Kappa to Cincinnati, absolutely a possibility, especially with Kappa's value. And we can get into that in a little bit. I'm also founder of the Sports Web established 2015. Come on, stop it. Roger says, I've been Peter's troll since 2003. Nice try, baby troll. I'll fire the cannons for that. I kind of like that. It makes me sick that Bucs fans are delusional when they say that Rodgers or Wilson. The problem is all free agents are glorified backups. My idea is to trade for Kirk Cousins. You like that, Peter? Possible, but again, they have a $35 million price tag. And then who's going to be the new coach? The offensive coordinator tonight, according to Adam Schefter, Kevin O'Connell getting a job because Jim Harbaugh left them at the altar. He pulled a Bill Parcells. And if you haven't watched this show before, you know the reason why I don't like Bill Parcells, because twice in a time span of 20 years, left the Bucs at the altar. Jim Harbaugh just did it. I think at a certain point, Steve Spurrier did it to the Bucs. Right? Chip Kelly did it to the Bucs. So yeah, I don't like that. With the new developments, I doubt Leftwich or Bowles leaves Tampa. Sean the Sports Don, make him a correspondent. Well, Sean the Sports Don, it's Sean the Sports Don. You better stop.
Shut up!
Frankie says, I thought Leftwich is already Jags coach. No, that is not official. And the talk was, Frankie, thanks a lot for tuning in. As always, the evolution. He didn't want to work for Trent Baalke. And I wouldn't either. Baalke was the one that forced out Jim Harbaugh in the first place from the 49ers. And I could see why the Jacksonville Jaguars are not doing that great when you have a guy like that in the front office. Talk was he wanted Adrian Wilson from the Arizona Cardinals. They're familiar with each other as a general manager. He was calling his shot. And the Jaguars may be going in a different direction. So that is not official. Tired of hearing about black coaches. Where are the woman coaches? They're on the Bucs. Great show today, Peter Blake. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you. Appreciate you again. Gregory says, Vor Red. I don't know what that is. David says, Peter, if he took just one of those $100,000 checks, he has no room to talk. You can't rob a bank and then take back the money and expect not to go to jail. Agree. But I really don't think he did. Again, I don't know the situation, but right now, these allegations are damning. And Ross does not belong to be an owner if this is true. Just like the situation with Cleveland. And I get it, they ended up with Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield. It doesn't make it right. It's competitive sports. You're stealing from the fans, in my opinion. You're lying. You're fixing games. I mean, that's what it's about. And it opens up this whole Pandora's box about, well, games are being fixed because owners are telling coaches to lose games. You lose the competitive standpoint at that juncture. As my dad used to say, it becomes sports entertainment. It's professional wrestling at that point. There's no credibility. There's no integrity. All right. Troy, I don't know what you're doing. That's good news. Hopefully we keep the coaching staff together. And Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend, catch us live at Duckies on NSPN. Not true at all. Shut up! You are something else, Troy. You know that. No longer with a platform besides I Love St. Pete and, of course, the hub here. Once again, if you want to gamble on games like the NFL, like NCAA, like NBA and NHL, go to betus.com. 125% sign-up rate. TSW22. Put that in there. Once again, TSW22, and I really would appreciate it. David says, another great show, Peter. Hey, man, I'm here for you. Let me give you the Byron.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Let me give you the Ric Flair. Appreciate it, guys. We had great conversation tonight. Once again, thanks to all the guests and all the callers, because like I said, the fans are the ones that make this show. 3 things. Make sure you catch me one more time on the over-under Friday night, 9 o'clock, 12:52 Chicago Sports, and also here on the Sports Web. 3 things. There's a quiz afterwards. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a great night.
Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no-interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
BetUS.com. If you guys are betting on the games, whether it's NFL, NCAA, of course, you're not going to do that now. Maybe basketball, not football, but of course, the NHL, NBA, go to BetUS.com. You get a 125% sign-up bonus. And also, if you use this code right here, the promo code of TSW22, which, by the way, stands for the sports web, TSW22, or call that number 1-800-69-BET-US. Again, 1-800-69-BET-US, and put in that promo code TSW22, and I would really appreciate that.
I've had 27 beers spilt on me. Make that 28.
I've only got one place to go before the game.
BetUS.com.
Sign up at BetUS.com and get the best bonuses in the industry.
Say Jackass.
Merry Christmas. Say, I love football. Say this. Say Tampa. Bay. Bay.
A.
Tampa. Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Say Tampa. Bay. Bay. Oh my God, she's so smart.